What's up, everyone? My name is Josh, and this is Josh Unboxed, and welcome back to the Daily Grind, a video series in which I talk about particular cards, plays, strategies, and news and how it affects the overall sports card market. In other words, it's just a way for us to help navigate through the craziness that is the sports card market of today, as well as to help us make much more sound purchasing and selling decisions. And today, I wanted to bring a vintage play, in particular, football. And the player, Jerry Rice. And I'm talking about the 1986 Topps Jerry Rice rookie card. In a sport where the quarterback is king and everyone focuses on the quarterback, especially when it comes to their sports cards, we often overlook the other skill position players, such as the running back, wide receiver, tight end, what have you. However, when it comes to GOATs, a GOAT is a GOAT, right? It doesn't matter what position they play, they're still a great player, one of the all-time greats in the history of the sport. And if you ask anybody to name the number one receiver on their list, anybody who knows the history of football, majority of the time, they will mention Jerry Rice. This man holds virtually every receiving record known to man in the history of football. I mean, when you think about the hierarchy of the wide receiver in terms of the elite players, there's Jerry Rice, and then there's the rest. And, you can make a debate on whether you think Terrell Owens, Randy Moss, or even Larry Fitzgerald fall in whatever order they fall behind Jerry Rice. Jerry Rice is leaps and bounds ahead of them all, and I feel there's a lot of value in his rookie card. Now, personally, I don't have the money to buy a PSA 10. However, the other grades are attainable, and I feel that those other grades have a lot of value, and we're gonna look at a couple of things to help us determine whether the Jerry Rice card is a good buy. We're gonna pull up the PSA Pop Report, we're gonna pull up the BGS Pop Report, and we're also gonna pull up the Card Ladder and Market Movers data, as well as the eBay listings, the sold listings, and the current auctions and listings they have up right now for the various different types of grades. I'm thinking about this play and this card in a similar vein as the Derek Jeter 1993 SP card, where I did a side-by-side comparison with that card and the Michael Jordan 1986 Fleer, and how I felt that the Derek Jeter card was undervalued at the time. And I'm using the same logic for this one, for this Jerry Rice card, in which, the values aren't equal one-to-one, especially when you go around the PSA 10 across the board, because the Michael Jordan PSA 10 is a six-figure card reaching 300,000. The Derek Jeter is a six-figure card, probably gonna reach 200,000 if it ever goes on sale. But the Jerry Rice rookie card last sold earlier this month for around $40,000. So in terms of PSA 10 value, they're not equal. However, if we look at ratios, there may be some value in the lower grades, and that's what we're gonna do. And we're gonna share the screen right now, and we're gonna take a look at that data. Okay, so what we have here is the PSA Pop Report for this 1986 Topps Jerry Rice. We have 21,221 total cards graded, with 58 PSA 10s, 1,022 PSA 9s, half of them graded as PSA 8s, 11,822. And then we have the PSA 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1s, and so on. Just looking at these numbers here, the 9s and the 10s, an extremely low population compared to the 21,000 that's been graded, and seeing that half of them have been graded as PSA 8s. And you can kind of assume already, without having to look at the prices, that these cards command a premium. Looking on the BGS side of things, we have 10,189 total cards graded, with 16 9.5s, 842 9s, 2,615 8.5s, and we have 2,276 8s. So you can see the discrepancy in the grading here, but you can also see where value may lie. So we're gonna go ahead and pull up the Card Ladder and the Market Movers data now, and we're gonna take a look at the prices. So the PSA 10 here, PSA 10 Topps Jerry Rice, last sold at $40,000, and that was earlier this month. So we see the value of $40,000, Pop Report of 58. I wouldn't be surprised that if this card were to go to the market again now, it'd be more than this $40,000. Looking at the PSA 9, we have a current value or last sold value of $3,600. And you can see here, recently, it's been kind of increasing. There were a couple of these sales that happened through PWCC over the weekend that actually caused the value to rise. So right here, I think on the 24th, there were like 5 or so auctions that ended through PWCC, and all of them reached past like the $3,300 price point, when previous to that, we were around $2,900 or so, or $2,400 actually. Here's the PSA 8.5s. last sold at 1,131. Same trend you can see here of it moving up, just like with the PSA 9s. And then the PSA 8s, we have a last sold value of 351. Obviously, this one has the highest of the pop reports, but you can also see the trend of it slowly rising up as well from the past month. And then I pulled the PSA 7s for comparison's sake. The last sold value of 128. You can't really tell much with the PSA 7s just because it's a lower grade and the majority of the cards fall within the PSA 8 in terms of their pop report. So the demand for the PSA 7s, probably not so much, but it's still a nice affordable card to get if you're looking into getting a Jerry Rice rookie card just to have and hold for a long period of time. Now I also pulled up the Market Movers tool. This is just for the BGS because Card Ladder doesn't have the BGS data on it. So this is the BGS 8.5 and you can see an upward trend, the line moving upwards, and the last sold was at 325.50. Same thing with the BGS 9. You can see it going up a little bit. The overall trend line last sold here $910. And then you have the BGS 8s, which show an upward trend line as well, with the last sold showing up at $200. So based on this data, we can kind of see where value may lie. I'm looking in particular at the PSA 8s at the 351 price point versus the PSA 9s, which is at 3,600. So that's almost a 10 times difference between the two. I'm also looking at the BGS 8.5s, where it's at 325, a little less than the PSA 9s. Also at the BGS 9s, in which the value is lower than the PSA 9s by like almost 2 times. And then you also got the BGS 8s, which has some value as well at going around $200, better value than the PSA 7s. So let's go ahead and pull up the eBay data. I have here, this is the recently sold PSA 9s. You can see here one sold for $3,356. This one sold for $5,500, but I think this might have been a best offer. $3,500, best offer accepted, $3,200. So this is has consistently reached over the $3,000 price point. Probably we're looking at $3,400 maybe. And then this is what I was talking about here. Over the weekend, there were a bunch of PWCC auctions that ended, and I was watching these closely because I was thinking, depending on what these cards go for, would be the decision for me to think about buying into this card. And seeing that previous to these auctions, this card was selling at around right here, 2,400, 2,500, right? 2,400 here. And then for it to jump up past the $3,000 price point makes me think that there's some value to get into the lower grades, especially the PSA 8s. So we have the PSA 8s here. These are the last sold listings, 330, a 400 best offer accepted, 350, 375, 365. So we haven't hit the $400 price point on this yet. So I think if you're looking into a Jerry Rice rookie card, I think the PSA 8s have good value, especially if you can get it below the $400 price point. I got one of these actually today. I bought it for $350. So I put an offer for $350, the guy accepted. So I have one of these cards coming my way. This is the recent listings for the PSA 8s. We have here, see, $499.99. We have auction for $350. Here's another auction. We have another auction here, another auction there. So we can see a lot of auctions going up for this card. If you're looking at just buy it now prices itself, there's one here for $385. We got a couple of PWCC auctions going on. So I think this card, like I said, for $24.95 has some plenty of value, especially if you can get it below $400. I think in terms of this Jerry Rice card, it's a good card to hold for the long run. This is the BGS 8.5s, and I think there's value in this as well. So this one sold for $349.99. This one $360, $350.02, $355, $385, $349.99, $301. So with this card, like I said, there's some value with this. This one here, this one that sold for $280, this is actually the one that I ended up buying. Here's some actual listings. $395 here. We got one for $425. We got auctions going on for $350, $202. Now, when you're buying these BGS slabs, I think the one thing to look for is the centering, because this card is very hard to get centered. Actually, it's a hard card to grade just because of the condition. The green borders really give it problems with the edges. And like I said, the centering is always off. So I always try to focus for at least good centering and good edges on this card. Here are some sold listings of BGS 9s. And you can see here, 1,375, 910, 1,500, 1,599, 1,599. Compare this to the PSA 9s. I think you have plenty of value with the BGS 9s. And then here's some current listings of the BGS 9s. We have one here for $24.99, $19.99.99, $21.99. So you can try your hand at auctions. Here's one here for $16.45, which I think might be a very, very good deal right there. So yeah, I think there's plenty of value in the Jerry Rice rookie cards. In particular, I'm looking at PSA 8s, BGS 8.5s, and possibly BGS 9s as good cards to kind of target. For the PSA 8s, I'm trying to target below $400 if I can. BGS 8.5s, I'm probably looking at $350, maybe even lower than that if you can get lucky. And the BGS 9s, you know, I think $1,500, $16, even $2,000, I think might have some good value in it. Obviously, like I said, this card is very condition sensitive as well. That green border really makes it difficult to grade because of chipping is more prominent on those sides and edges, especially with the green border, and you can see the whitening. The centering is always tough in this card. And when you're looking at the BGS slabs and you're looking to buy a BGS graded card, I personally will look into the centering as well as the edges, just because I know how hard this card is to grade. And when it comes down to it, eye appeal really does matter, like I talked about in one of my previous videos. So if you can find a well-centered one, then that will probably sell more versus another card in the same grade that's off-centered. So like I said, I think there's some great value in this card. So there you have it. We looked at the data, we looked at the different pop reports, PSA and BGS, we looked at the values of the card through Card Ladder and Market Movers, as well as the recent sold listings and the current listings that are going on right now to kind of help determine whether Jerry Rice is a good buy right now. I personally think it is. Obviously, I want you guys to do your own research and your own thought process, but we kind of went through the data to hopefully help come with a conclusion on whether this card is a good buy or not. So there you have it. I hope you guys found some value in this. If you did, go ahead and hit the thumbs up button. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't yet. As like I say, I do these things daily. I love talking about sports cards. It's one of my passions that I have, and it's fun just talking about it and giving out all this information. Whatever comes to my mind that I feel is a good buy, I'm gonna talk about it. So with that being said, my name is Josh, and I'll see you guys in the next video later.